Well, Andy,
You
What's
rolling,
up?
bro?
Oh, this has been my anthem lately. It's don't worry about a thing,
Mm.
'cause every little thing is gonna be all right now. I'm singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be all right.
Put your lights up.
Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds pitched on my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody's pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. All together now. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be
Gonna
all
be
right.
all right.
Yeah,
Oh.
so I was literally, I don't know if you guys have done this, but I was in the bathroom at the gym last night trying to like shove the paper towels in that like dispenser with the key.
It never
And
fits, man.
dude, I found myself singing that song literally last night, and I was like, I'm not even kidding, like 5 minutes. I was like fucking with the key, and I was like, all right, don't get reactive. And it's like 8 p.m. and I was like, my wife and child are asleep already. I'm like trying to get home, so I just start singing, "Don't worry about a thing." And I actually had this other like a kids song keyed up for today, because that's like all we've been listening to. It's like the Spotify playlist is kids songs that don't suck, and it's been our jam lately.
Yeah, dude, honestly, I feel like after a long ass day, if you're at the clinic at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. and you're just been kind of shit on all day and you're just exhausted, man. I swear to God, just putting on one of those like, songs you should sing along to in the shower and you just kind of let it rip a little bit on the way back home, just kind of lightens the mood a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely made me it made me think about anytime my dad was fixing the house. He's super reactive, like this goddamn fucking thing doesn't fit, and so I'm sitting there like I've got some notes about the program so far, which we can wait. The good things like making me a better person, because like I'm like, wow, I'm like less reactive. I was borderline. I was like about to rip it off the wall, but
Wait, so I've been seeing this TikTok going around lately of dad freakouts, of just dads going around in the house and they're fixing shit, and then they just have like a mental like meltdown and breakdown.
Yeah.
And so I think you're the only dad in this recording right now. So has that ever occurred to you?
Not
Where
yet.
you're just like trying to fix some shit, you're just like, God damn it.
Yeah. No, seriously. I mean, like, you guys do a good job of, it's not in the program, it's not like, just business. There's so much like self-development that is really bleeding over into other parts of my life. And so like I would say the first 2 weeks our baby was born, I was very like reactive to like trying to change the diaper. I'm like, sit still. I'm like, what are you doing? And then I realized he's like a fetus outside the womb. So it's like, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, this is a baby. But no, I am not really like a handy Andy. I'm like, which is funny, as I tell people when I don't do a lot of aggressive recovery, I say, don't call me handy Andy. But around the house, I don't do a lot of like DIY. So very limited opportunity for me to like, maybe when I start building Legos with Owen.
How old's Owen now?
4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
Dude, it's pretty crazy to see. I mean, like, some background is I think Andy and I have been following each other for a minute, and then when I was in physical therapy school, he was kind of getting going in University of Michigan in Flint. And then when I had graduated, he had asked me to mentor him, and I really didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So it was kind of like the blind leading the blind, and we would get on these calls and I would give him some stuff to do, training wise, and just teach him some stuff. And then eventually he ended up joining Moment Mentorship, came to a course. We pretty much stayed connected the whole time that you were in school. He's had a lot of different opportunities, went to a lot of different clinics, and we would always send voice messages and stuff back and forth. So coming on to GGC, the story was Andy was kind of listing out some of his expenses and debt and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, like, don't do this. Like, I was like, don't do this right now. Like, let's like create a safety blanket. Let's create some like, rainy day fun. Like, I don't want to put you in a position where you had stress, but then I guess you can kind of tell it from a better perspective, Andy, like, I guess where you're at.
Yeah. So like we have been following each other like 6 years or so, because I remember Embark Lifestyle, your original brand, and you were always like super responsive, and it was like, oh, his name's Andy. He's kind of a cool guy. That's already like right from the get go. But yeah, you're right. Like through the years, you literally played the long game, and I actually make the joke like you could probably like shit in a box. I'd probably buy it at this point. And so just like literally like between voice notes over the last 6 years and like over like 15 phone calls, you just call me like running to the clinic, and like be like, I'm going over a bridge. It'd be like really windy, but yeah, man, it's during COVID. You were like, I was like, my knee hurts. You're like, let's hop on a call. I didn't know, I didn't ask you to mentor me. You just sort of filled that spot, which has been great. But you were like, I'm gonna make a mentorship. Don't tell anybody. And I was like, okay, cool. So he makes like the moment mentorship, and I first cohort. I'm like, I told you, shit in a box, I'll buy it. And then basically he talked about business coaching, and I just wasn't really quite there yet. But this time around, just like being in home health in the car, binge listening to the podcast, I finally was like messaging Peter, and then I was messaging Andy, and Andy got on the, just like, he's always like, you got 15 minutes, I'll call you. And he was telling me about it. And before I knew it, he was like, I was like, I don't know, man, I got all this like debt right now. My transmission on my car is like, all the lights came on my dashboard like 2 weeks after my baby was born. And I was like, oh man, this is rough. And he's just like, well, what money do you have? And I was like, before I knew it, and this is a testament to the long game, I was just like, this is all my debt. These are all my credit cards, obviously student loans, and here's my available cash. And he was straight up like, I wouldn't feel comfortable if you signed up right now. He's like, I don't really want to put somebody in like a really bad spot. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I remember thinking like, you're probably right.
Oh, this is brand new information to me. I had no idea he told you not to sign up.
Pretty much. He didn't say, he was like, you probably should get some things in order before like committing to a program.
Well, I was just like, more so, that wasn't a sales strategy. For people who are listening, that was not a sales strategy. I just like, and I think in general, like always taking the perspective, like none of the sales actually works unless you actually care about the other person, right? And I think that's lesson number one. Like you have to care about the other person. And like it doesn't matter if it's Andy or someone that I had just met. Like I generally just want the best for the other person. But Andy was like, yeah, I've got my wife is about to, she's pregnant. I got a car I got to get fixed, and like I have this kind of debt, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I never want people to like put themselves in a position where they can't think from abundance, right? Because I think that becomes really hard. Like when you sell, it's like you want to sell knowing that the other person needs what you have. You don't want to sell because like you need to make rent or like you need to survive. I think that's a really hard place to learn sales. But I don't know. What do you think, Peter?
Dude, I mean, all this is still kind of new to me. So, like, I personally didn't really interact with Andy until like a couple months ago when we were kind of chatting up in the DMs and stuff. But dude, why don't you rewind a little bit for everybody? Just because I don't know any of this like background context. Like, how did we even get here with like all this debt? How do we get into home health? How do we even get to the DMs of us chatting back and forth? Like, where were you at before all this, man?
Yeah, Andy was like, you know what? If Andy won't sign me up, fuck, I'm gonna talk to Peter. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Peter, I was like, I followed Peter, and then he was like DMing late at night, kind of like a little bit more responsive. I was like feeding my baby, and I was like, here's what happened. Okay, I don't know how far you want to go back.
Let's go back far. Yeah, we got time. We got 40 more minutes.
Why don't you start like right after you graduated, and then like we'll rip from there.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just first say that Andy's story really resonates with me because I was a pre-psych major at school in undergrad, and I finished with a criminal justice degree. So I was doing a master's degree. Yeah, I was like halfway through a master's degree in criminal justice, and like basically 2014, I did an internship with the U.S. Marshal Service after I had graduated, which I had met the dude at a GoRuck event. So that was a fun time. But basically, I hit this dude up like 2 years later, and he was like, "Why don't you come do an internship?" And I did, and like they got furloughed for a couple of weeks, which is really relevant at the moment. Everyone knows what government shutdown and furlough feels like right now. But basically, I was like, these homies can come to work and not get paid for like 2 weeks. And then I sat through 3 days of jury selection. It was the most boring thing I've ever witnessed. And funny enough, I was like, I want to be U.S. Marshal Service so I could go arrest like pedophiles. I was like, screw those. Like, that's sounds like something that's legit. Obviously really dangerous. My wife's a news reporter. Now she's a meteorologist. So her job is super not flexible. So fast forward, I'm working at my brother's CrossFit gym. I decided to go to PT school. I get in when I'm like 27. I'm DMing Andy when he's a second year. And I got into school in like 2018 in Michigan. So I'm going into PT school, listening to podcasts. I'm influenced by Andy. Like I hear all these, I already know from the get-go, like out of network cash PT is probably gonna be my thing. Was listening to PT biz stuff. I had to drive like almost 2 hours to campus. And then PT school was like really kind of whatever. I got enlightened to like therapeutic neuroscience or like pain neuroscience. And then all the stuff you're learning in school, you're kind of realizing this is like, all right, I just got to get the degree, get the license and move on. So I graduate when I'm 30. And then I go right into home health because I didn't want to join like a high volume clinic. Even though Andy had recommended just going to like get reps. And I wish I had actually done that. But we end up, I start my LLC a few months out of school, and I'm kind of just trying to make it work. And as Andy has pointed out before, getting new grads to sign up for like business coaching, it can be really like probably not a good idea because you're learning way too many things at once. And so I had worked for another business PT coaching company or whatever you want to call it while I was in grad school. So I was very influenced by them. And I think I had like a good relationship with them. Like, I think I just got way too caught up in the like hybrid scene where I was like, it sounds way too good to be true to sort of push for an online presence. It's a pain in the ass. Honestly, still is. And so I think I got into that trap because my wife's job was like taking us kind of around the country. So we went from like Indiana to Michigan to Wisconsin, and now we're in South Carolina. So basically I graduated in 21, started an LLC in Wisconsin, and 8 months later we moved to Greenville. And then I signed up for that business coaching, and I was like new town, focused on hybrid, focused on just like making money in home health, focused on trying to learn and go through mentorship then too. And I was like, I didn't, get a lot of reps. I was like, I think I at that point gotten like 15 people on my own in 6 months while I was juggling everything. And it was a lot. So I ended up joining another guy for about 8 months who was out of network. That didn't work out for various reasons. And then I was like, screw it. I'm going to go full home health. They do PSLF. My wife and I are trying to get pregnant, stable, benefits, yada, yada, yada. We might
What's
leave.
a PSLF?
Public loan service forgiveness. Yeah. I was just like working for the hospital. Like, I'm going to get my debt paid off.
Like 5 years or something like that, right? Or like a fairly long time frame, I think.
So it's 10. And
10 years, okay.
The bullshit is with COVID and the administration's juggling everything, I was like, this is way too uncertain. And this was a big push for me to be like, fuck it, I'm just going to take care of it myself, go back into business for myself. But basically during that year, which was last January till now, working for the hospital system, my wife and I were trying to get pregnant. We were struggling. And so we were like, benefits, whatever. The biggest thing I kind of gave up on planning routes here is that her career as a meteorologist, we were trying to go to the Northeast. I was always telling Andy, I'm like, we're going to be in New York one day. Like, hold me a spot at your clinic. And as soon as we got pregnant, she was like, so she was in between contracts. So they're like 3-year contracts. So she was in between contracts and had to re-sign while she was pregnant. And nobody will tell you this, but they're not going to hire a pregnant woman. So, she basically decided to sign another 3-year, which was signed this July. So baby got here and something in my brain broke because she was like, I might not want to do this forever. There was questions about her even going back to work after her maternity leave, and the home health salary is like 92 a year, and I'm like, we're not gonna be able to make that work. So literally, that was end of July. So baby was born July 3rd, end of July. I'm looking at hospital bills now, looking at all the debt I told Andy about, and then binging Go Getters coaching. And I remember, I remember, I actually remember,
songs, man.
I remember messaging Andy in the beginning, and I think I was like episode 11. I was like, the singing at first, I was like, all right. I was like, I don't know this song, so I'm like, doesn't really resonate. But when you sang a banger that I knew, I was like singing along after a while. And so I was like, in the beginning, I was really like, what's going on with this? And then because it's not like any other podcast,
These two clowns.
But yeah, no, very likable. It kind of resonate. Once you get a banger, you just sing along. So that was that. I mean, basically, end of July. I think I signed up for Go Getters coaching, I think August 22nd. So end of July, basically I was like, I got to go back into business for myself. I was on Instagram that Friday. I saw somebody I had not really made contact with. I just followed randomly, who said they were opening a gym. So I messaged them. I was like, hey, you want a PT in your gyms? And he said, come by Monday. And then we had worked something out like a couple days later. One of the other biggest pushes, by the way, was 2 weeks after our baby was born. I turned on my car and all the lights on the dashboard turned on. And I'm like, that's never a good sign. And so Google, take it to a couple of dealerships or whatever. It's like a transmission issue. I was told it was gonna be like 8 to 10 grand. Took it somewhere else. They said it was gonna be like 2. So I was like, all right, I just need to find a couple of clients to make up 2 grand real quick. And then all this was ruminating, and I was basically like, all right, it's the final push for me to reach out to Peter was, you guys were, I think it was Muhib, somebody who's done like 1K per month had done like 52 or 59, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, all right, if I can do a fraction of that, I'm like, we're good.
Was it
Our other Indian brother?
So yeah, that's fast forward, and now we're 3 months in, I think 3.5 months in.
Yeah, man, what a journey, dude. I don't think I ever told you this, man, but when we were initially chatting in DMs and you told me like, hey, dude, I just started, I'm only making like 2 to 3K a month, like, let's get on this call. In the back of my mind, I was just like, dude, this is not gonna go well. Like, people, typically speaking, people under 10K, man, they just have like such insane like mindset stuff, just trying to get them, like, coach them on different, things on like sales, pricing, and all that stuff. And so in the back of my head, I'm like, holy shit, like, this is going to be kind of like a shit show. But then once we got on the call and I learned a little bit more about your situation, I was like, dude, I got to get this guy some help, man. And I think it kind of goes back to what Andy was saying at the very beginnings, right? It's like, hey, sales is ultimately all about like, hey, like, how much do you care about somebody to get them across the line so that they can get the help that they need? Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, this dude's got a baby on the way. He's all in on his business. He's only making 2 to 3K a month. Like, we got to make it rain for this brother. Like, what we got to do?
Baby was here.
Baby was already here.
It was like, there was a decent bit of credit card debt. You had to pay the car because you needed the car for work. And I was like, oh man, I'm like, this is a lot.
I'm gonna blame Andy if it doesn't go right.
So what was like the main push for you then? Like, because I would say the majority of people in your situation, in your shoes, there would be a ton of apprehension, ton of fear, especially with your, situation at the time. So what was it for you that kind of caused you to kind of pull the trigger and be like, dude, I'm all in, let's get after
it? So the transmission thing sucked, and my wife had about 7 to 8 weeks left of, I think it was like 7 weeks of maternity leave. And the last 6 weeks of maternity leave were unpaid. So I had 3. I was back to work. And it's funny, it's like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really have like an internal monologue. Like, if I'm brushing my teeth, I'm not like, rotate. Some people are like, put toothpaste on the the toothbrush, put it in your, I don't know. Anyway, I don't have like a huge internal monologue until I'm driving. And so I was like literally just thinking, there's no way I'm going to retire as a home health PT. I was like, I need cash quick. And then I didn't include this in my story, but I was actually, before baby was born, I was like, I'm going to go corporate, like healthcare. I think I can make more money doing that. So I was like about to quit PT. And the end of July, I was on Instagram, and I had seen this before, but like the Ikigai, like the four,
Ikagi.
Ikagi. Yeah. Sorry, I've been saying it wrong for months. Shit. Ikagi. It's basically like, do what you love, do something the world needs, something that you can get paid for. And I think I've even forgotten the fourth one, but I was like, it hit so hard. I texted a few people because I was like literally about to quit PT, I guess, or was thinking about it. And I was like, I had actually helped almost about 50 people over the few years we've been in Greenville, just on the side, just hustling. And then with the guy I had worked with for 8 months, and I just reached out to him. I was like, am I good? Am I good PT? And, to like lay people who you can change their lives, they're like, you're amazing. And so I was like, okay, all right, I'm good at it. I guess.
You messaged your previous patients and clients?
A few of them. Yeah.
So
yeah, I was like, and since I work at a gym a couple days a week, like I still see some of these people too. So, you become close with a few people and hang out and get beers or whatever. But, so that seeing that on Instagram, and then, honestly, just having the baby and my wife being like, I don't know if I'm going to want to work forever. And I'm like, okay, now it's up to me. Like literally now it's up to me. Whereas before I'm like coasting, home health's great because it's nice and flexible. And then baby got here, and I was just like looking at him, and I was like, it's no longer about me. And so the other final push was, I was going to wait till my wife went back to work. And then I was like, why the hell would I wait till she goes back to work? I'm like, I got 7 weeks of a caretaker, the mom. She's going to be home for the next 7 weeks. I'm like, let's just hustle. And so I didn't tell you guys this, but the first few sales I made, I think I made like 3,200. I needed about 3,000 for the car. Instead of paying for the car and the transmission, I signed up for Go-Getters coaching. Because we were, look, we were down to one car, and she didn't need it for 7 weeks. So I was like, I just gotta, for the next 7 weeks, I need to just grind. And then first few packages, I paid for the car after that. But yeah.
Okay. We had Mohib come on, and Mohib's like, I didn't tell my wife that I signed up. And now we got Andy coming on, said, my wife doesn't really need a car right now. She's taking care of the baby. So
she said, forget the car. DGC, more priority.
And I didn't tell her either. I only recently, I think after like a month into it, I told her how much it was. And she's like, what the hell? And I'm like, it's already paying off. I'm like, and actually, we didn't talk about me going down to part-time and quitting, but I had, I had to talk to her about that as well. So it's been fun. It's been good. New baby, new business, all that stuff.
Yeah. So what was it? End of July. Where were you at? Like, let's say, I forget the exact numbers. I'm pulling everything.
So July you started, right?
I can tell you, I had my LLC and Stripe account and everything for the last couple of years, because like as soon as I got back to Greenville, or moved to South Carolina, I like reestablished and transferred the LLC from Wisconsin, so I had to like dissolve and create a new one. And so I've always been just sort of side gigging it or whatever. If you go to my Stripe account, it's $0 until end of July. And end of July, when I made the decision that I was going back into business for myself, I went back to the gym after coming off paternity leave, and somebody was like, hey, my shoulder hurts. And I was like, I'm free Friday. I go back to the gym 2 days later. Somebody goes, my knee hurts. I go, I'm free Thursday, whatever. So I sold 2 very underpriced packages because I needed the money quick. So end of July, call it $2,000 or $1,200. August, like $5,000. And I joined GGC end of August. And then, do you want me to keep going? September was like,
don't leave the people on a cliffhanger, bro.
September was like 13.2, and then it's funny how you remember these numbers. And then October was 22, like 0.4. And November's a little different. We can talk about why that is.
Dude, so 35K in 2 months.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Well,
you ain't
pretty
pulling that
much.
in home health or corporate, man.
No. Yeah, some very eye-opening experiences in October, which was like I only get paid $350 a day to do home health, and then I sell like to finally have like I sell one package and have like one other person sign up, and all of a sudden it's like a 5K day or whatever. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, what am I doing in home health?
One thing I will mention, because I'm like looking up all of like on the Slack, I'm just like, all right, we have our channel where we drop the wins, and I'm looking up Andy when he's posted. And before Andy's gotten to even share a win, all he is doing is saying, congrats, dude, bro, I'm so proud of you. Like he's just cheering other people on. And I think there's like something to that kind of energy where it's like when you can be genuinely happy for somebody else, I don't know, like there's something that makes you worthy of receiving shit. I just can't explain it. I've seen it multiple times when you're able to cheer for somebody else, like Andy, August 23rd. Proud of you, Alex. Next one, congrats. Winning. I'm doing whatever Peter tells me. Amen. I'll ship whatever I can. Hell yes. I'll be joining you. Let's go. Congrats. It's got to be such a great feeling. Like it's just like
I love it,
stacking
man.
like compliments and like bringing the good vibes. So, dude, I like, is that something that you naturally are like? Because like I think I've known you to be kind of like that since we've met, but I'm looking at these comments and I'm cracking up because it's
I
just
never even
like,
noticed that. Yeah, that's
You know what's
what a
funny
good
is I
point.
don't remember doing that. And I was cracking up because I was listening to your guys' episode yesterday, the one about sacrifices, and you were both talking about like when you wanted to be dads and parents and stuff like that. And you're like, oh wait, so I'm a little bit older, and I'm gonna be 35 next month. I can't remember shit now. Uh, like actually, it's like this is like legit. I would have to write stuff down now, which I never had to do before. And I'm not even like, it's just like my sleep is like super sporadic. So it's like I'll sleep from 10 to 2 a.m. Then I'll go back to sleep from like 3 to 4 or 3 to 7 or something like that. So it's like it just doesn't feel doesn't feel rested anymore. But my memory is like worse. I don't remember. I remember commenting on people, but yeah, to answer your question, like I'm the youngest of 5 boys, and I just always, I think I found a sense of humor as like a coping mechanism. I think because I wasn't very big, so I had to like defend myself with like my words, and then I don't know. I think somewhere along the way, doing like nutrition coaching and lifestyle coaching before getting into PT school at the gym and working as a CrossFit trainer at my brother's gym, you start to realize relationships and like I just want to make people feel good in their skin. That sounds weird, but being comfortable when you're so many shitty people in the world is super important to me, I think. And the Maya Angelou quote that's like, people will never forget what you said, they'll just always remember how you feel, that sort of thing really stuck with me even through like undergrad. And then just I don't know, just making, I think remembering, I used to be like bad at people's names. And I'm like, I'm just bad at remembering people's names. And I was like, wait a second, that's just bullshit. I was like, I just need to try harder. And I have gotten in the habit, I don't even think about it. When I meet somebody new, their name is in my head like 3 times in a row. And then I'll say their name as a few times as naturally as possible. And I just think that's, people need to feel good. I don't know.
I love it, man. I, I think the other thing, it's like no one, the one thing I think we always get, it's like, oh, the timing is bad, right? And this is like, we're talking to someone that we legitimately were like, yeah, it's probably not great. Like there's a lot of pressure. Um, when you were actually in the program, you were working in like a fucking hallway. Like you didn't even have
Oh,
a
dude, I got
Yeah, dude.
screens. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you putting up that picture of you, where you were treating people initially. Like that was wild, dude.
I call it the murder hallway.
Yeah.
It's it's in this 100-year-old mill that's being like, I don't know who owned. I think like one person owns it or some company, and they're building out retail. They're renovating different parts of it. But there was this MMA gym, and I just like I happened to go. So I worked for this other PT who was out of network. He was like, go build relationships with the community. I'm like, yeah, okay, duh. So I went to this like boxing gym, and I remember him being like, I was like really excited. I was like, hey, I've met the owner. Like, we're going to exchange some services. Like, I'll meet their members, yada, yada, yada. And I remember him being like, that's good, but boxers like don't have money. And I was like, what a shitty mindset. And I ended up just building the relationship. I traded services with this. He was a pro boxer. He had like Achilles calf issues, and he was training for a fight. And I basically exchanged 30-minute or to an hour like one-on-one stuff for me, and then we would turn around and like do a bunch of PT stuff. And he introduced me to somebody else who then ended up opening an MMA Muay Thai gym like at this mill. And they were like, hey, this is my sanctuary. I'm not trying to make money. You can come treat people here for free. And I was like, what? Okay. So there's no like private room to do evals. So I have to like do the assessment at the like on the jujitsu mats. And then they have a gym area. So there's like this, it's doable. But then I would take them out of the gym and pitch them in the quiet hallway. And this hallway has not been renovated. It's got like concrete floor, puddle stains, the like the what's the word? Like the fire system that is like talking every like 5 minutes. It's like, it's like the sprinkler system is like broken, not broken, but like, the alarm is tripped. So it's like some voice comes on every 5 minutes and it's like, need to check area 66, whatever. Like, I'm like, I just laugh and I'm like, oh, don't worry about that. So I'm doing like the whiteboard pitch, and then luckily it didn't smell. I mean, that would probably be like the biggest turnoff, but it was just a creepy ass hallway. And I was like, if I can sell 2 or 3 packages in here, which I did, I'm like, get me a room with paint and like hardwood floor and a chair. Man. Yeah. Wow. Almost.
Yeah, I think, dude, that's a perfect example of just like not waiting until like the conditions are perfect. I think that's one thing that a lot of people are so hung up on, right? They're like, hey, I gotta wait until I have the perfect space. I gotta wait until I have like the perfect website, the perfect post or whatever before I kind of actually take action. And I think, yeah, that's like perfect example, just like, hey, whatever circumstance or whatever situation that you have, you just take it and you roll with it, and let's see what sticks.
Yeah, I went through like, I would call it like, you know what like food porn is, right? So like a lot of pictures and videos of like food and shit. I would call this like productivity porn. I would go through different gurus' productivity hacks, and I would try to optimize my schedule. I try to optimize my desk. I would try to whatever. Like, I was finding people's methods and trying to like fit myself into their method, and I would just cycle through. I'd get the new planner. I would try writing it down. Like, I went through, call it 8 years of waiting for the perfect moment. Because even as I was working with my brother, we would start nutrition programs, and I had the most flexibility in time, so it would all fall onto me. So I would be like trying to create something. I tried to do like a motivational interviewing kick where I was like trying to teach people how to like PTs and trainers how to like go at coaching and teaching from a perspective of like not the guru, but more like the guide, and use motivational interviewing as that. There's a whole story there, not for this podcast. I'll tell you guys later, but that didn't work out. It was all me just like trying all these things, and then coming back to this idea of like waiting for the perfect time. I'm going to be 35, baby born. I'm like, there's no better time. As soon as my wife was like, yeah, let's stay in Greenville, I was like, it's game on. Because that was always lingering in my head. And I told Andy too. It's like, I'm like, oh, we might be moving in 3 years. Like, do I really need to like throw down roots? And Andy's recommendation, which I was like, not that I didn't believe it, but I was like, yeah, that could work. He was basically like, build up a clientele and fly back quarterly to still see them, or something. There's ways you can work with people like virtually and all that, but there's no better time. It has such quite literally changed my life. Yeah.
I have friends that moved out of state, and they come back every single quarter. and they do, or like once a month sometimes, right? Checking with all their clients, fly back, and they don't live in New York City anymore. So I know it's possible, right? Because there are going to be people that want that in-person touch, and they'll do remote stuff as long as there's some in-person touch every now and then. So yeah, all that stuff is possible. It's just a matter of like, how many excuses would you give yourself to not start something, right? Like there are people that New York is such a transient city. People will start working with people, they'll move, and like people are like, well, what are you gonna do? I'm like, we'll just go online. Like it doesn't matter. Like we'll just figure it out. Like there's literally online training that's being delivered already. So why couldn't you do online rehab? So it's just constantly figuring out better solutions and being comfortable navigating some of those gray areas.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, I know when I first started business, man, like, I would just overthink everything. I'm super analytical, and like, I feel like more times often than not, that is almost the downfall of why potentially was not more successful sooner. I just overthink things, delay, wait till quote quote perfect moment, and then finally dip my toes in before seeing that, oh, wait, this thing could actually work, and fully committing, man. So, yeah, props to you for kind of, flipping on that switch and getting after it, dude.
What has been like, I guess, like for you, because you've been exposed to like other kind of models before in the past or coaching groups, like what's been a big difference, I guess, for you and like your experience?
Yeah, I thought about this. I really kind of felt like when I went through the first like coaching group is just there are probably some flaws with their just the hybrid approach and like really emphasizing that, which I looking back like was not the right move for me. But also just the timing. I mean, like I was still really new grad, like I can help people and stuff like that, but you always say like you got to be able to deliver like a world class product before you can really ask people for how much like you're going to charge. And I was not really ready. I was literally just like figuring it out every session sort of thing and wearing way too many hats. I think this time, shout out to Moment Mentorship, to having like a solid framework that I can literally just riff with has made me able to focus on the things that are actually going to push the needle. And with GGC, it's like there was one week where I went I went 1 for 5 on evals. And it was like, Andy called me and was like, go watch this video. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know this was there. Like I had gotten to all the videos. And I think it was like that high touch point has been huge. Cause when I paid and joined this other program, it was like, I don't know, it kind of felt like I got lost in the weeds a little bit, even though they offered calls like every day. I wasn't attending all of them every day. So I don't know. I think I also resonate with you guys, like probably right down to the very like fiber of you guys. I mean, just like you guys attract, and even the other people in the cohort, like we're very similar in how we think and how we just like chill and how we act. And I think that really, I'm not very competitive, but like I feed off your guys' energy too, which I think has been also really helpful.
Yeah, because you're like, you posted, it's like, hey guys, it hit close for 1 for 5. I was like, oh man, like again, we got to make sure that this baby's got a roof over their head. So I think I messaged you. I'm like, yo, where do you feel like you're struggling? It's like I feel like I am doing a lot on the last part of the eval. Like there's a lot coming out in the last part, and I'm like, okay, I think you got to get better at selling throughout the eval. You're gonna watch this training that we did for GGC Live, and then you literally went like what 6 for 6 or something after.
No.
Something crazy.
So I was 0 for 4, and so that 1 for 5 was that same week. That's burned into my head. That eval was after I watched, and basically, I was like focusing. I think the biggest issue that our profession has is like they just believe people will inherently value physical therapy. They're like, it hurts. Yeah. You're a physical therapist. I'm gonna get better, and that's just not true. And so where my original like focus was in eval was like get in, immediate changes, show them exercises, be helpful in that way. But after watching the video, it was very much like you need to very explicitly show or explain or have the person explain what they feel is the problem. They have to feel the issue either side to side. And you have to focus on kind of helping them understand that there is a problem. And so my eval went from solve the problem the first visit to get this person smoked, either capacity wise, or get them to feel like the mobility restriction, and then explain it. And then some of the like keywords were just like, I don't expect this to get better until you address this. And those are just some of the things that I really focus on saying. And then I went 10 for 12 after that. So
Jeez.
that one, like right after I watched the video, I haven't actually touched much of the actual like course work on some of the plan of care or sales or objection handling. I was telling Peter, I was like, I haven't really had to do any objection handling because of this, of what you pointed to me in the video. And essentially I went 9 for 11 in October. And so that last one I sold in September was that fifth one that week. So basically 10 in a row.
Dude, it must be so boring for you, man, not to have any objections to deal with at the end.
Well, what's funny too is I used to get really nervous when I was like, this is how much it costs. I'm like, what do you think? And now based on what Andy was like explaining at the beginning, where it's like you just genuinely want to help the person, and if it's the right fit and they have the money, that they'll sign up. And so I just literally am super relaxed now during the sales process. My only issue now is it's taking me way too long. Like if the person doesn't have anywhere to be and I don't have anything scheduled, I'll let it ride for like 90 minutes, which is probably one of my bottlenecks. As I get busier, obviously I'm going to have to button that up, but just chilling with the person. And I'm like, here's the issue. And we get to the pitch, and there has been objections that I'm like handling, and I have had some people sign up from it. So there is some learning there, but like a guy yesterday, for example, was like, I got to talk to my wife, and I ran through the framework, and he just basically was like, yeah, in my 40s, we had a ton of debt, and basically I don't spend more than $200 without talking to her. And it was the only way we got out of debt. And I was like, very fast, like taking notes. I was like, so no, it's been fun. And it's also like, November's been a lot different. And the reason it's not as good as October and September, as you guys would obviously point out, is like I ran out of room. I'm still doing part-time home health until mid-December. So my original goal when I was like going back into business was like, I'll go part-time in March. And like in October, I went part-time, and then I'm quitting in a couple of weeks after Thanksgiving. So I basically PR'd this week. If everybody shows up, it'll be like 18 visits. And then I'm still doing 3 days a week of home health. So I literally,
you're stacked.
I'm not even mad that I've only had like 3 evals this month. I'm just like, it'll happen. I mean, I can't, I don't have room, but
yeah, most of those things, it's like, I think most of the time people get super stressed out with like a dip in a month.
mm-hmm.
But if you understand why the dip occurs, and then not be so emotionally or take it so personally, you can essentially recoup where you're at. I think oftentimes, like as a entrepreneur, you hit your first 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever it is month. And then you're immediately thinking like, I can't let this go. Like, I'm so scared. But if you start acting like that, then you've already lost, right? Like you just literally have to be detached from the outcome and just think, what am I doing right now that I know is the right thing to do, irrespective of the output, right? Because sometimes the output will fluctuate, but am I giving the right input? Because even if you do all the right things, there will be a month where things go, a little bit lower. So it's just like being not emotional to that. And I think Peter does that the best.
It's taken a lot of years to get here, man. But yeah, trust me, I used to freak the fuck out whenever I saw a dip, man. But yeah, you just kind of understand, hey, like don't take it personally, and things will come back up, right? And kind of little different tidbits throughout the years, right? Like singing songs. For me right now, it's like jumping on the trampoline whenever I'm having like a bad day. Just little things like that to kind of keep you going and everything. For your last home health patient, you're gonna have a celebratory song.
So I'm lyrically challenged. So when you were like, you're going to need a song for this podcast, I was like, I'm going to pick one with like one verse and like one. No, Tom Petty Running Down a Dream was what I played on my first day at PT school. And then I actually, when I finally got into the gym and had my own space, not in the murder room, I played Running Down the Dream on the way to the clinic at like 7 a.m. I was like, yeah, we're doing it. So probably that one. It's funny. I love my old people, but they're getting, every minute I do home health, I'm thinking about, my own thing. So it's getting much harder to give energy to both areas. So I'll be really excited to quit.
Yeah. Dude, big congrats on that, man. I know for me, quitting home health when I first started, that was like such a big deal, man. Definitely something I hung on to for way too long. So yeah, big step in the right direction for sure.
No, you're gonna crush it. I think having that, because it's not just like you're putting your time into those sessions. Mentally, you're draining as well because you know that you want to be doing other things within those times, and that gets really, really tough to manage.
Well, it's tough to manage when the person, like nobody in home health wants to be seen before noon or like after 5, obviously, and you shouldn't be seeing people after 5 anyway for home health. But it's like when they make it challenging to schedule because they're just like, no, you can't come at that time or something like that. I'm like you don't know how much time I don't have anymore. I'm like, I have to come at 12. No, so it just gets, again, trying not to let that stuff, try not to be reactive, which again, I can't commend enough of like just the coaching GGC. It's like writing down mantras, like just having abundance mindset. Like it really is bleeding over into other parts of the life, which are so important to grow and things like that and scale.
Love it, man. I mean, I think for us, right, it's really just being able to make sure we provide you guys with the tools, but then it's a whole nother thing to be able to actually go out there and execute and take action on it. And so, definitely just want to give you kudos too for, being our ideal client, being an absolute fucking go-getter, dude.
Yeah. When I signed up, I was like, I just got to sell one program a month and this is fine. I can do this. But when it just started stacking up, I was like, this is not a fluke anymore. I was like, I need to quit my job. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, the one thing I think everyone always like, oh, I don't need mindset, but it's like if you distribute wealth to equally across everyone in the world, within a couple of months, the wealth will go back to the same people. I truly believe that. It's the same reason why people win the lottery and they're broke again, because there's no mindset shifts with these things. You're just given these things, and I don't want to say you didn't earn the right to, but it's like you got to have a really, really good foundation to consistently create outcomes. You can't just receive a ton of shit that you've never earned before. And the goal with like all the mindset stuff that we do, it's like it really, really changes the way people see sales, marketing, entrepreneurship, and all those things. I don't think you can really be successful without it.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I'm not scared anymore. And I think before going into this, I was like, still, okay, what if? And until you really sit down and actually put in like that work for that mindset stuff, it's truly, nobody will understand until you're in it. Same with like having a child. I hate to be the person who's like, wait till you see, because I hated that shit. But like, it's you won't know until you're doing it. So same.
Dude, I feel like you're a dangerous man right now, dude. Not afraid of anything. Like just ready to take action. I think that's big. That's the biggest thing, man. Dude, any words of wisdom for anybody on the fence about GGC?
I mean, if you don't even have a fraction of the barriers that I had, just in either mindset either mindset or just the timing. Oh my God, what about timing? I was literally like, this is not a good time. Then I was like, this has to be. There's only the right time, right? It's only now. And so I would say the wisdom is, if you are afraid of one particular thing that's going to stop you from signing up, it can be tackled. Like you just have to confront it, which is like pretty corny, but it is what it is.
I love it, man. Andy, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you for coming on. You're our 50th episode. We're at 43 5-star reviews. 43. So if you like this story because it felt like an action film, right? Let's get us to 45. And also, guys, March 21st to 22nd, GGC Live is coming to Austin, Texas. Yeehaw. At the Hyatt Regency. We have a couple of spots open to people that are not a part of the program. So if you're interested in that, you can check the show notes. It's sign up for the live event wait list. You're just going to click the link GGC Live at Austin, Texas. We've updated everything. So the show notes will have our homepage. It's got our community wins. You can schedule a strategy call if you're interested in working with us. And we also got 4 free resources for you. 100 proven ways to generate leads, content marketing playbook, launch your practice webinar, and a 5S newsletter framework. So get after it. Get after it and send us a 5-star review. Send Andy some good vibes. And till next week, guys.
Peace.
Peace.